All right. So first thing first, tell us your name and what is it you do for this project.
I am David Dedeine. I'm creative director at Asobo Studio and specifically in on the flight sim.
Yeah. Let's talk about one of my features that I'm very excited to try out is the career and activities in the game. I know previously you guys had a couple of activities, but this one is going to be a lot more. Tell us a little bit about that, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Um, Again, first thing first, what we what we discovered after the launch of 2020 that is that the number one thing all across the board, from hardcore simmers, gamers, to casual, or even to like what we like to call them is digital tourists, were asking to improve the sim, was all across the board the same thing. We wanted more goals, more purpose, So it was the starting point of it. And the other constraint on the other one is it needs to stay a sim because, it's in the title, Flight Simulator. So there is no way we can mess with this. So that was the framing, I would say, of the thinking. And then we were like, okay, we want to expand the amount of entry point in the experience. And depending of your mood, depending of who you are, depending of your level of experience, we wanted to multiply the possibility to enter and to enjoy the experience. And so that's the reason why we did those. Yeah, let's pretend that we create a persona which would be a typical gamer on something fast, which doesn't, which is short, competitive, with lots of skills involved, leaderboard, etc. Of this, let's say that another type of user just want to chill and to enjoy the planet extra. And let's pretend that maybe more advanced simmers or hardcore will want a much deeper career, extra. The reality is that, yeah, maybe we can simplify a bit the way we perceive the market, but the reality is that while we were discussing this internally with the rest of the team, we soon realized that none of us were able to actually really predict who will gonna do what first. Which is basically, do you really believe that like digital tourists will not engage with the career to start with? Not sure. Do you really believe that hardcore simmer will not gonna enjoy the photographer mode? Not sure at all. Extra. So it was a good starting point, but keeping in mind that actually it would be good for everyone. Um, if I move forward on this thing is, um, if you really think about it, uh, the challenge mode, for example, the F-18 in the Grand Canyon, um, what is at stake in order to be good at this? As soon as you get the picture, okay, I have the track in mind. I know what is expected to me for me. It's really flying an F-18, and this the exact same F-18 you would find in free flight. The same complexity. In intrisec, translate? No, internal complexity is the same plane. It's just that you will not gonna have complex procedures. You will not gonna have to manage your navigation. You will not gonna have to take off or to land. All of that is out. It's straight. You are fast. You launch into the track, but still, when you will gonna turn, depending of your speed, you can stall, like it would happen in real life. You can go so fast that actually your rolling rate is not good enough to enable to, to be able to turn fast enough to reach the next gate. And step by step, baby step after baby step, even someone who don't really know what is the aviation world will actually, thanks to those baby steps, become better at understanding how a plane works and how it behaves and what is at stake on a physical standpoint. So maybe you love first the fact that it's a competition, but finally, what you will gonna do playing those things is actually you will learn how to fly a plane without thinking too much about, oh my God, it's super complicated, you know? Same thing with the photographer mode, because, you know, for some people even moved, because honestly, in the audience we have at the very, let's say, entry level type of audience we have, there is people who don't even play video game in general. So even asking them to look somewhere and use the camera stick to look somewhere it might be an issue at the beginning. And what we love about the discovery of the planet is like, oh my God, I want to see the pyramids. And oh my God, the pyramids are super close to Le Caire, you know, actually in real life. And you have this feeling to discover this by yourself. But then you have to take a picture and suddenly you have to understand where you are in this space, how to move the camera. And step by step, again, you start to learn how the potential of the scene and how it works, how to interact with your plane, how to interact with the camera, how to interact with the weather, because the photo, for example, we're gonna have the challenge of the photo. We're gonna require you to take a picture of um, maybe you need snow, maybe you need the moon, maybe it needs simply to be at night. So you will start to learn, oh, okay, I can change the time of the day suddenly. And step by step, you learn how to interact with all the tools which are given. And then obviously career, when it starts to be things that you cannot um, uh, imagine or really fully understand by yourself just by playing, it's where the career enter in this game. Is like, if you, but even there, if you are an hardcore simmer, you will gonna go to the exams directly and shortcut, I would say, all the trainings. But if you don't know what you're doing, you will not gonna have the exams. And by the way, as you pay for the exam, you can basically go bankrupt, you know? So it's a bet, and we love the fact that it's a bet, because the mindset when you pass an exam is completely different, you know? You, your appetite to be successful and to learn really and to apply what you've just learned is much better, because you bet, you know? Okay, I will have my exam, I pay for it. And to be comfortable to pass the exam, it's where all the training we build, 64 trainings, I think, for each of the certification. We'll have training that will really teach you teach you the fundamentals that come with the certification you have. Because there is no way you can ask someone to do a firefighting mission with a huge plane full of water that you were going to have to land in the sea, if you don't even know how to land a simple plane, you know, to start with. So it's the game. Basically, you will play the career as you wish, and the career adapts. The level of complexity of the career that really depends on how you want to manage it. And again, if you're an hardcore, you will have lots of exam pretty fast and access to all the spectrum of the potential activities. But if you want to learn everything step by step, it's for you too. What we like is that it flows naturally, because most of those training were actually in Kitty Hawk. We have polished them, improved them, and there is a little bit more, but they were existing in Kitty Hawk. The issue is like, who starts an experience, you know, with 50 whatever training to be ready to play? It doesn't exist. Nobody does that. Here it's really, you build your own path, you know, and they are really used as something to build your career, and it flows much more naturally. Plus everything I've said before, where you actually learn things without even doing trainings. You're just having fun, but you learn lots of stuff even unconsciously. Yeah.
So, with all of these different entry points, as you say, into the flight sim experience, what is, in your mind, the end goal? Like, what do you hope every person who touches this comes away with?
Um, I really hope what we aim for, and what I really hope people will enjoy about it, is something that you know, one of the designer at Asobo sent me like 2 weeks ago an email saying, "Oh my God, even he's working on the carrier itself," and I was like, "It's crazy. I didn't realize myself, even working on it, how fast and how better I will gonna be at being a pilot, at being a simmer, even without realizing it." And it's what I was trying to say when I was saying it flows naturally. Is that step by step, you're like, "Oh my God, but I know exactly what to do to land the plane, and I understand what is at stake. You know, why the procedures are done like this, why it's important to arrive at a given altitude, at a given speed, etc. All those things, suddenly you get why. Or communication with the ATC. Okay, I got it, actually. And in the carrier, as you have observed probably, there is the auto ATC button. So if you are an hardcore simmer, you can call the ATC panel and actually message the ATC as you wish, like by yourself. But if you don't want to enter into this level of complexity, you basically push a button just to say what probably a pilot would have said at this exact moment if everything goes well. And what I like about it is that step by step, again, you start to understand what is at stake. Okay, I need to stop at the all chart because some planes could land, and it makes sense. And I need the ATC to wait. I mean, I need to wait the ATC to say, "Okay, you can go," before I can enter into the rain. I got it, and I feel like I'm doing something instead of they talk to me about principle I don't even understand. And by the way, if you don't do it, it's not a big deal. It's just that your final evaluation at the end of the activity would not be as good. Even this, it's adaptable. You will just have a bad score and a bad reputation if you do, but it's not a big deal. You will enjoy the activity anyway.
I mean, I messed up a couple of times and I still kept on going. So now, for you and your team, which one was the first activity you guys worked on, and which one was the last one that you guys added in the game?
Um, hmm. Actually, we started lots of different types of activity all together with different people in charge of each of those activities. And the goal was to quickly understand what was required on a technological standpoint, on a design standpoint, on a narrative standpoint, in order to evaluate what was basically what we call the bang for the buck. Because we have in the pocket lots of other activities that will going to be probably released post-launch, but either we didn't have time or we need another technological brick in order to make it work as we wish. Or we need a type of plane that we don't have or don't have yet exactly like we need, all those sort of things. So with all the prototype, we have filtered what we cannot do, what we didn't have time to make, and then evaluated also if it was actually fun to play. And also, the reason why we also started with several things is that we wanted the spectrum of the activity to be as large as possible. If you imagine a spider web and everything that can be involved into a mission, we really wanted that those activities really stretch as much as possible the different flavor, to be more precise, concrete. I would say if you are doing crop dusting, it's not at all about navigation. Most of the time you would take off from a farmer airfield, and the field is like next door. So it's not about navigation. It's about being able to take off a very charged, loaded plane that will, where every turn there is a risk to stall because it's so heavy loaded, and to be able to come back on the field, fly very low. So it's really skill based. But what is at stake is also the efficiency. Because when you spray fertilizer on a field, you don't want to spray too early or too late. And the amount of pass that will going to be required to fulfill the mission will actually inform your final score, So it's not the smoothness of the flight, which is important. It's not the navigation, which is important. It's not either even the ATC. Those guys are in the middle of nowhere. They don't care about ATC. But on the completely other side of the spectrum, let's say um, VIP missions, where you basically use a private jet to transport a VIP person. Yeah, sure, you need to be efficient, you need to be fast, you need to be smooth, and it's a completely different type of approach. And by the way, maybe you will not like it, you will enjoy it, and maybe it will going to be the opposite. Maybe you will be the crop dusting guy, or maybe it will going to be you. It depends, and it also depends of your level, like your level of understanding of the sim. You can be a crop dusting pilot and play during many years a different mission about crop dusting. It will never gonna be the same field. And if you multiply this by the fact that you can even change planes and that the weather will gonna be different and that you can do it like in America or in South America or even in France, I don't know. All of that makes those missions always different. And maybe some people will gonna do only this. It's possible. The reality is it's good to taste the different, but
My last question is, which one is your favorite activity and why?
maybe you guessed. I mean, I, I was about to say crop dusting because I think it's I love it's I I was close to because of COVID. I had to stop my pilot studies. So I clearly understand the beauty of being an airliner pilot. I understand why it's cool to manage but like being the engineer that somehow an airliner is a sort of a robot which is piloted by an engineer able to understand and set the robot exactly like it needs to in order to go from a point B to a point A to a point B. And it's cool, and I understand this, and there is a beauty which is completely different from the crop dusting experience I was talking about. But me personally, to be sincere, I love the aviation skills which are true to life aviation skills which are required to actually do crop dusting, because what is at stake is really the physics of the plane itself, the interaction basically with the air, and how you can feel that your mass at the beginning of the flight is way bigger than at the end, because step by step you spray on the field and your plane gets lighter and lighter, which allows you to do even more radical turns before you come back to the fields. All of this in a single mission, you can actually feel it, and it's pretty cool. And while I was testing the carrier, I've been trapped many times. Like, yeah, because I think I thought I was good at it. But suddenly you are in a configuration where you did not realize that there is a tiny cliff a little bit further, and that you're actually arrived in a field which actually is slightly in a steep um, uh, uh, with a different angle, which force you to dive like this. And suddenly you realize, oh my God, I'm super heavy. And there is a cliff, and first pass, boom, you crash on the cliff, and you're like, oh my gosh, I would have probably died in real life because I have not understood correctly the danger. And I think I love the way the fact that we generate so many missions actually expose you to this sort of, you learn each time better what it is to be a pilot and to be safe while piloting extra. Yeah. Or sometimes it will gonna be, the wind close to a plateau. There is some updraft that basically makes you fly, that will make your plane take some altitude. All of those phenomena are super lively and depends of your weight, etc. So I think it's super, yeah. But honestly, it's not like it's a 10 out of 10 and I don't like at all the others. It's just I try to answer.
It's all good. It's all good. No, but thank you so much for taking your time for doing this interview. I
Cool.
can't wait. Can't wait
Thank
to
you.
try the activities. See, you're doing the VIP one.
I like the VIP.
I'm doing the, I'm doing the let me land, take some pictures of the animals, and search and rescue. That's for me.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, man.
Search and rescue is another one I like a lot.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, man.